But we know what's happening right now. MSNBC has lost a remarkable amount of numbers. It's really a shocking amount.
It is for the liberal tiers over at MSNBC.
Yeah, I mean, you have a noticeable drop. Let's see, MSNBC total daily viewers is down 16% and 57% during prime time in the key demographic. That means all their shows had the smallest audience of the year last Friday that they've had the entire year.
How small? Do they have the numbers like
hundreds of thousands? I think they said
to Fox
MSNBC
News.
Averaged during the month of October, because they had a big October, had about 1.1 million viewers during the month of October, but plummeted to an average of 736,000 on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Again, 31% drop, as Fox News had a bump of over 61%. 61% over the same period. So it wasn't that people were uninterested, but I do think you probably have a moment of people going, the left saying, I'm not watching this anymore. I'm turning this off. I'm sad and depressed. And then maybe for the first time in a while, you've had conservatives feel like that they were now the winning party here, and let's see what happens. I mean, I'm following it more now than I was a year ago, or I was even a month ago. Now that we're seeing all the nominations and all the picks, it's a lot more fun.
Well, it's fun. Yeah, it's more interesting again to watch, because it's not just about beating someone. It's not just the campaign. And I told you, this is when, if you enjoy politics, this is really the second phase of politics, which is the more, I think, the real behind the scenes work, and also what you're seeing above, like who's getting the nomination, do they make it to confirmation, the senators, the House. The fact that we still have votes going on is insane to me, by the way. I mean, this is America, and we still, of course, for the Democrats, they want these votes to keep on going.
I mean, MSNBC's ratings, so you have an idea, year to date have fallen 51%. Fox, in that same time period, 58% rise in ratings. MSNBC is on the chopping block. I would not be surprised.
So MSNBC has lost more than half their audience.
I have actually said, and we've talked with Rick about this, that as someone who uses what you'd say, I guess, NBC, Universal, Xfinity, Comcast products regularly, or does that MSNBC is this weird piece of their business that I never quite understood. I understand having a news division. I don't understand having like the leftist mouthpiece news division, when most of their business is feature films for families, a lot of it, theme parks, hotels. I've worked with them many times. There's some great people who work for NBC Universal and work for Comcast. It's always been this strange thing that they've had, even in brand alone. MSNBC, Microsoft and NBC decades ago, when that became the news outlet, I could see them getting rid of it, and that is actually what they have said. There was a statement that was put out from the Comcast president in their quarterly earnings call. He said, I want to be clear what I said. We're going to commence a study on whether it's a good idea of creating a new well-capitalized company that would go to our shareholders, existing shareholders, comprised of our cable portfolio networks. So that's a group. I'm not talking about Peacock or broadcast. Essentially, all they're talking about is maybe, I guess you could put USA in there as well, but some of their cable outlets that I'm sure are not doing as well as they once did. There's also breaking news that Chris Wallace has resigned. Resigned. Chris Wallace has resigned from CNN. So that is breaking news as we're on the air right now.
Do you think he resigned because was his contract coming to an end, or do you think?
I think he's probably going to get cut, and they decided, let's see, they report Mad Week he left because they wanted to slash his $8 million salary. So they went to renegotiate. They went to go renegotiate. A guy who
ended up doing a web show for them.
Yeah, I mean, he did come back. He did have his own series, I think, on there, right? Chris Wallace? Yeah, he did. But
when was it? Was it a wannabe Sunday show?
No one watches that. He also listed his Washington, D.C. home today. So he's taken off.
Well, it's about time. Also, I mean, this guy, not a nice personality, I'll say.
No, well, he's another character in that sort of news world who is not liked by
anyone,
really, either side. And I think when you have that, you have no respect on either side.
He thinks he's a genius and he's the only one that's ever right, and it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. But of course, you have to make these decisions in the world. He just acts like, if you pick from this, it's just, again, he jumped on a sinking ship because he didn't have another ship to jump on.
Yeah, I mean, why not take the money? Who cares? I mean, it's a good chunk of cash to have for a few years there.
Yeah, but I can't believe they paid him that much to begin with when he was already just floating out there. You would think he could have paid half of that. See, CNN, we started going through the payments. You won't believe it, $20 million to Anderson Cooper. How many people are watching that show?
I mean, I have to pull up the rating. It's one of their more popular shows,
but still,
not many.
It's not hitting seven figures. It's not hitting
low. If it is, it's low. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
we're not talking 3, 4, 5 million.
No.
I think the idea here is, look, keep the press on, keep utilizing social media, keep using other forms. Of course, you've got your Fox News, you've got your Newsmax, you've got OAN. There's the I-24 now for the Israeli news. I mean, there's there's all these different options to get news for us that. Again, I don't think most people are as liberal as MSNBC. It's like you don't want to keep that on with your kids around because they end up just either saying really horrendous rhetoric against conservatives. I mean, this idea, if your kid's listening about Tulsi Gabbard, maybe your kid knows who they are because you're like doing what we do. And they're calling her these horrible things. Then you got to explain. I mean,
exactly. That's why I'm saying that MSNBC shouldn't be in their portfolio. It should not be in NBC Universal's portfolio, in Comcast and all of it. It doesn't make any sense that it is, that they've decided to continually fund a failing leftist news outlet. It doesn't, look, I would say the same thing if they ran a conservative outlet, except for the fact that it would be financially probably a much bigger success. But you could at least argue the business side of it. Right. Becoming just not even just a CNN-style mouthpiece, which at least pretends to be objective and in the middle and all of that. They at least act that way. One of my favorite clips was on Colbert. He had Caitlin Collins on.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes a... I know.
Was that supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
Kind of that wink and a nod, because we know where CNN stands, but they at least pretend. MSNBC doesn't pretend, and they are losing massive amounts of people. And who are you seeing who are popping up in terms of new media? Once again, just like terrestrial radio was in the 80s. Who's taking over for new media in podcasts and all that? It is almost exclusively leaning to the right. Whether that is your Joe Rogans or any of those affiliated.
Even the ones that weren't as right, like Joe Rogan, have made a huge shift.
Yeah, I mean, and I think people like Tulsi and people like Joe and people like RFK should at least be given their honors for really probably taking it over the top.
For all of us, they brought new people into the party.
Absolutely.
And if we do the right thing, we can keep these people in as part of the party. We need to welcome them in. They share way more of our views than a lot of moderate Republicans. I'll tell you that. A lot more of our views.